Hang on to your seat, baby, because this one's a screamer. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
What's going on, Entertainment? So I'm coming out with another video. So as you guys seen lately, I've been doing recaps to documentaries, and one of the latest documentaries I watched is the Casey Anthony documentary. So I wanted to give my little recap on it because living in SoFlo, we all know that was a big case that was around during 2008 and then just years after, because it was that viral. It was like one of the biggest stories. I'll never forget, like every time around that time frame that this happened, I would turn on the TV and all you see is Nancy Grace me like, Top Mom Casey Anthony has been lying since the day that Kaylee Anthony has been missing. This mom over here wants to go and party and not take care of her kid, and poor Kylie is nowhere to be found. Like, this lady would go off about Casey Anthony every single night, every single day. She was on Casey Anthony's ass, rightfully so though, but Nasty and give her no grace. She ain't give her no grace. She ain't give her no grace. Okay. Before I get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, Wookie Bets. All right. So I didn't know that Casey did her own docuseries. Now, this was news to me. She did this docuseries in 2022, but I was just finding out about this when I was watching this docuseries because I had like no clue about it. So it opens up this docuseries. The point of it is to prove George and Sydney's innocence. So if you guys don't know, George and Sydney are the parents of Casey Anthony, and both of them were sort of accused of hiding some things in regards to Kaylee's death, and also concealing like evidence and just being liars, because a lot of people thought that they knew, specifically George, what happened to Kaylee and was hiding it in order to save Casey's ass. Meanwhile, Casey turned around and lied on their ass and made it seem as if George was over here touching on her and touching on Kaylee. Okay, so it opens up with George and Sydney in their home. They still do live in Florida. They barely get out because of all the hate that they get. George got in like a bad accident in 2018. And my first thought was, because y'all got to understand, with this docuseries, it was edited to make us think, spoiler alert, because towards the end, it was a whole nother thing. I thought, oh my God, they're about to be found guilty for really doing all of this. Like, this whole time we thinking it's Casey. Meanwhile, it probably was them, because the way that the editing was, it made it George look very funny. George the whole time during the docuseries was like, you know, he does one of these every 2 minutes. So I'm like, it was him, but we'll get to that at the end. George got a bad accident. So in the beginning, I'm like, oh, see this guy trying to get rid of you because he knows what you did. That's what my first thought was. Okay. This story to me is sick because it has so many holes. It has just so many holes, and it just shows us, like, a lot of us colored folk, Black people, we think that white families are like perfect, and this is a prime example of, you can't just judge people just by the color of their skin. Like, every single family, doesn't matter what color they all are toxic in many ways, because this docuseries has showed us a lot of the toxicity that would happen between each other. So they showed, of course, the news coverage that would happen in the beginning of the docuseries in regards to Kaylee's disappearance and death and everything. And they played a news report. Now, this had me a little laughing, not gonna lie. They played a news report where the news reporters were outside. They're saying, honk if you think if Casey's guilty. And then they were, I started laughing. I'm sorry. That part was a little funny to me because it was just out of nowhere. Like, y'all didn't have to play that clip. Okay. So Casey's documentary in 2022, both parents did not watch it. Sydney nor George did watch this docuseries. So keep in mind that they're finding out all of this information that Casey said in the docuseries as they're filming. The host that we have there is named Tony. Tony was not playing no games. Tony is a Black man with a very strong dad voice. So what do you mean that you don't think that may happen? He gives us one of these, like, a lot throughout the whole docuseries, because he was thinking how I was thinking, like, something ain't right. Nigga, please. Like, the whole time he was just giving them this face, especially George, like, What the fuck? Somebody just tell the truth, because I'm getting irritated. And so was I during the whole docuseries until we got towards the end. All right. So because they were blamed, and I don't blame them not watching docuseries, because y'all gotta understand, even being on YouTube is not the easiest, because sometimes you'll have people comment stuff about you and like it's not nice, okay? So you really gotta have tough skin. So imagine watching a whole docuseries talking about you, accusing you of things that you may not have done. Nobody's just gonna sit there and be like, no, not everybody has that skin. I do, but not everybody has it though. Okay, so like I get why she couldn't just watch. They couldn't just sit down and watch. Basically, people just lie. Casey just lie on them, because Casey in this docuseries claimed that George had touched her multiple times, touched Kaylee a couple of times, accused her of him of doing that, and basically made him to seem like this big old perv. Which with the editing with the docuseries didn't do him any favors. Okay, because of them in this whole case, the parents had many panic attacks due to the media years of covering it. Okay, which caused Sydney to get a whole lot of therapy. She got PTSD because of it, because people would text them and be like, "Oh, you effing perv! You guys know what happened to Kaylee? What's going on? You guys are unalivers. Shame on you guys, etc., etc., etc." Okay. Now the point of this show, y'all, is for them to take a lie detector test. Both are going to take a lie detector test in regards to being accused of touching George, Kaylee, and Casey, being accused of hiding Kaylee's death, meaning knowing information about it and not saying it to police officers in the media. Same with Sydney. Questions about George telling her things about Kaylee's disappearance and death, and her hiding it and not telling anybody, and just knowing anything surrounding about the death and just hiding it from the media and or police officers. Okay? So I had a whole lot to do with that. That's what the lie detector test, most of it was asking. All right. So Tony, you guys, was on their ass, especially Sydney, because, well, especially George, because some of the stuff that he would say would kind of make you like, that sounds a little creepy. George was a little too fidgety to me throughout this whole series. I get him being nervous and him having to relive this whole traumatic experience, because it is traumatic. Somebody passing away, you not know how they passed away, and it was a close family member, and like you're trying to figure it out. It is nerve-wracking. But it was fidgety to the point where it's like he knows something and he's scared to say it. Even Sydney got annoyed with him throughout this docuseries. Like, why are you so nervous? So they played the docuseries, meaning Casey's docuseries of her talking, which she did in 2022. This docuseries was filmed in the beginning, was put out in the beginning of 2024. I know I'm a little bit late, but better late than never. Okay. So they're playing it, and Casey's alleging that he would come into her room, R-word her. Not gonna lie, Casey looks like a liar. I could spot a liar. She looks like a dead-ass liar. Meryl Streep ain't got nothing on her. The truth ain't in the bitch. Because it's just like, you could just see her that she's a liar. Like, why would you just make that up? I just don't believe some of the stuff that she was saying in this docuseries from some of the clips that they played, because she's so dramatic with the way that she speaks. She's like, he came into my room and did, like, come on now. Like, people do process stuff differently, but the way that she was talking was very performative. I just recently watched, of course, Quiet on Set, as y'all saw on my channel. The way that Drake talked about it, you could tell he wasn't capping about nothing, because he could barely talk about it. And it's been years since that happened. That death did not happen that too long ago. And how she was talking, you would have thought somebody gave her a script. I say, you need to start taking some classes, because you're good. Like, I was watching them clips. I'm like, wow. I even did also watch clips also from the docuseries on YouTube. And no, I don't believe her whatsoever. I think she's a huge liar. I feel so bad for Georgia Sydney for raising just a big liar like that, because it's like, damn. So they play clips in this docuseries where George talks about Kaylee in like a sweet, slightly creepy way, depending on how you take it. Because he talks about how he loves the sweet hugs that he used to get from Kaylee, which is the daughter, and how he would smell her sweet sweat. Now, some of those stuff you could have not said. Because it does sound a little creepy, especially when you're talking about a child. It does. It does. It's not like you're talking about a dog. Like a dog, you could say that all because they're just a dog. You're just like, oh, sweet smell. Like it's a dog. But it's like a child. So I get how the narrative that Casey was trying to spin, this is why I say she's smarter than what people thinks, because she knew that those clips were out there. So she made this whole thing up about her being touched and all this type of stuff. So to prove, because that was already out there, that he's this creep, because she had some video evidence of him saying stuff about Kelly during all those press conferences that they did to prove that he's perverted. So just like Sydney, I see where she was going with this, but you got to be smart to pick up on the game. I just think these are all white man that just talks kind of weird, to be honest. So we get to Sydney's test, and she says the last time she saw her was in 2016. And I think it was like her grandfather's death, Casey's. And she talked about how they stayed together for like a day or two, but they're not on good terms because she had to put her down. And I'm like, Sydney, you put her down. What do you mean by that? Like, did you punch her? Did you like, she said she had to put her down. Like she sat on her, something like that. So some of that, this is what she said now. So I'm like, did you like how did what you did? What you did? That part a little bit confused me. But she says since then they have not talked. They're not on good terms. The last time they texted each other, Casey was asking Sydney for the ashes of Kaylee. Sydney has, which is Casey's mom, has Kaylee's ashes. Kaylee's the daughter. Kaylee has was burned, of course, and was turned into ashes, and Sydney has it. Casey wanted it back. Sydney said no. Sydney said, no, I'm not giving you the ashes. You don't deserve it. She didn't say that at first. She didn't say you didn't deserve it. She said, that's the last memory I have of her. I'm not trying to be mean. Let me keep the ashes. Casey said, no, I want the ashes now, whatever. Give it to me now. So Sydney's like, no, I'm not going to give it to you. I told you I'm not trying to be mean. Well, Casey said, well, I can't wait till you're dead so I could take the ashes away from you, bitch. You old raggedy asshole. She didn't say that, but she was basically like, you and your perv and your murderous husband, etc. Basically cussed out her mom in plain white English. And basically let Sydney have it. So that's where Sydney snapped on her and said this was the last time she spoke to her, and texted her back, like, texted her pictures of Kaylee's remains and said, this is how you left your daughter, etc., etc. How dare you? I'm going to make sure you never get them ashes. Sydney says in this docuseries, when she passes away, she's going to make sure that Casey does not get the daughter's ashes. I agree with Sydney 100%. If you care that much about her, the daughter would still be alive. That little girl was too young for what happened to her, which we still don't know. This is what I mean why Florida's a whole nother creature. Because a baby could die and people still don't know what happened to her. A whole baby. It's not like a dog. It's not like a cat. A baby. And we still don't know. I'm telling y'all, don't go down here. I swear to God. Like, we still do not know. It's sick. It makes you sick to your stomach. Okay, so if you care that much, she would still be here. You wouldn't even have to argue about no damn ashes. So I do agree with Sydney. Now Sydney was getting real testy with the production during this docuseries, because even just the seating of it, she was just like, can we sit here instead of there so George could see it? And then the producers was like, can we just try it like that? Like, I think it's fine the way it is. Sydney was like, can we just do this? I'm just making a suggestion. God damn. Like, mind you guys, Sydney, since everything has happened, she's had like a whole lot of anxiety, PTSD. So she's taking a whole lot of medication and stuff like that because of the traumatic experience she went through. So her emotions was already on high. So here's the thing that confuses me. The day of when she disappeared, I don't get this drowning story. I don't get any of it. The whole thing confuses me. I don't get it at all. Casey claims that she found the dad found her lifeless, and she handed her to her, and then she just fell to the ground. I'm like, this don't even make no sense. Like, no. Now, where George and Cindy disagrees, George thinks that Kaylee was drugged and ended up passing away from that. And then later on, I guess either choked on her vomit or suffocated in some way. Basically, she felt like Kaylee was drugged, and Casey gave her drugs to basically go out and party. Okay, now I don't know if she was doing party, but she was partying, as we all saw in the pictures when she had that bob, and she looked like the lady from the commercial. Education connection is the right gun for free. Education for free with education connection. Okay, tell me Casey don't look like education connection in that. To find my right direction. Face that. Look at her. See? Tell me that don't look like her. I'm on to you, bitch. Anyways, because of this, that whole docuseries to me rubbed me the wrong way because I just felt like Tony had a right point, because if she was missing for those 30 for like a month, why didn't you guys? Because, okay, the way that Sydney talks, she's seen the granddaughter often. So for you not to see her for a month and then call the police is crazy to me. Because Sydney, during this docuseries, you could tell that's the old bitch that don't play. Sorry to call her a bitch, but like, she had bitchy ways during the docuseries. But you could tell she don't play. So you, like Tony said, she just doesn't give me the type that take no for an answer or just take a lie for an answer. She just doesn't give me that type. This is why I said the cap was on Sydney's head. Both of them, to me, I feel like George knows something that may have happened, but not completely. That's why both ended up passing the lie detector test. I don't think George touched Casey or Kaylee. Sydney, I feel like, knows nothing about what happened to the granddaughter, but I think George knows somewhat, but doesn't know the whole truth and has never told Sydney. And that's why they disagree on what happened in regards to Casey. Okay, and also the state of Florida prosecution team failed on this case really, really hard because manslaughter wasn't offered as a charge. Jurors who were interviewed afterwards said they would have found her guilty of manslaughter because there wasn't proof. The proof was so poor. So a mother couldn't have intended to kill her daughter enough to show us she was responsible for her death. Like, that charge was too high of a charge with not enough evidence. So they had no choice but to find her not guilty, which is really a shame because I really do think she had something to do with the death. There's no way she had nothing to do with it. Because where was the daughter? It's just sick, okay? Let me know if y'all checked out this docuseries. I'm glad both of them did pass the lie detector test. I know some people are like, lie detector tests are not used as court. I thought they was going to fail. So the fact that, especially George, so the fact that they passed, I do feel like people need to leave them alone and bother Casey because she deserves it. And I read online that she's working for the defense team's attorney. I'm like, ugh, like y'all just hired murder. Like, that's white people for you. But anyways, let me know what y'all think down below, and we're out, babies. No personal thing.